again, you can see a bit of a condensation of that ectomesenchyme. So here's the dental lamina, there's ectomesenchyme, that's the oral cavity right there, lined with the oral epithelium, which would be an ectoderm. And as we go to the next slide, there's the bud stage. So there's dental lamina down, we'll say to about there, and there's the bud right there, and you can follow that basement membrane, that basal lamina, all the way around, separating this epithelium from the mesenchyme, ectomesenchyme. Okay, so that's all from that dental lamina. So that's an epithelial product, an epithelial tissue. Then as we go on a little bit further along, we see some bud stages, and there's one that's getting a little bit different right there. We've got the palatal shelves nearly fused. There's Meckel's cartilage. There's the developing mandible. And here's that early cap stage. So we have the dental lamina, and we have the dental papilla is developing right there. So there we're getting that inner enamel epithelium. There's the outer enamel epithelium, and there's the developing stellate reticulum. Again, there's dental papilla. Well, there's cap stage. There's the dental lamina, and again, you can see that basement membrane. There's the outer enamel epithelium. There's the cervical loop right there. There's the dental papilla, and there's the inner enamel epithelium, and there is an enamel knot. It's not listed over here. So that's going to be the site of the future cusp. That knot is going to sit right above that. There's the stellate reticulum, and again, we've got lots of ectomesenchyme. The other thing that you can see on this one that we didn't see on the previous slide is we have the dental follicle going all the way around.
Is that the same thing as the dental sac?
Same thing as the dental sac. Another cap stage. It's the dental papilla. We've got that dental sac going around. Stellate reticulum. There's the inner enamel epithelium and the outer enamel epithelium. So that's cap stage as well. And we've got 4 cap stages, and right there, those are the vestibular laminae. And we see some of the muscles Dr. Harn's going to talk about. There's the geniohyoid, we have the mylohyoid, and there's the hyoglossus. And later on at the end of the semester, there's a limerick that includes the hyoglossus in it that I'll tell you about. Okay, well, we're coming to bell stage. There's the permanent tooth bud right there. See that it's no longer connected, at least in this plane, with the enamel organ. And bear in mind, this thing right there is the enamel organ. That dental papilla is not really part of that enamel organ. It's all the same structures. We've got the cervical loops, everything we saw, except we're seeing a little bit of the formation of perhaps a couple of cusps. So there's that dental lamina. So is this on the lingual or the buccal side? Lingual side. Okay, well here's late bell stage, and we know that because we both have dentin and a little bit of enamel. So in some textbooks, this would then be called the dental pulp. We can see the osteo or the odontoblast forming right along there. We've got cervical loops. You can see that that outer enamel epithelium, stellate reticulum, and the stratum intermedium is all going to collapse down and form that reduced enamel epithelium right on top of those 2 mineralized tissues. So if we take a closer look at that, there's the inner enamel epithelium, there's the stratum intermedium, so there's the stellate reticulum out there, there's enamel, there is dentin, and there is predentin, and you can see those dentinal tubules going through. And there are the odontoblasts. In fact, you can follow that odontoblastic process right into that dentinal tubule. So predentin and dentin. So this is mineralized, or was mineralized before this slide was made. And there's a predentin that has not yet become mineralized. Okay, well, late bell stage again, we've got some enamel. We've got dentin, you can see predentin. There's that reduced enamel epithelium that's formed over the top of that cusp. And review that, or recall that all of the mineral tissue deposition is going to occur at the cusp first and then go down towards the cervical loop. And that's going to mark the bottom of the crown. So there's the inner enamel epithelium, there's the dental papilla, and there's that cervical loop. There's the outer enamel epithelium, and we've got the stellate reticulum, and it looks as though we have a little bit of the stratum intermedium forming as well. Late bell stage, I have a couple of cusps, and there's Hertwig's epithelial root sheath forming that diaphragm. So that is going to be one of the apical foramen after this tooth completes its development. You see that outer enamel epithelium coming up, helping to form that reduced enamel epithelium over the enamel and the ameloblasts. Okay, well that's all in that first chapter. So if we go to the second chapter, and there really is nothing listed on your handout as far as dentinogenesis goes, but you can see that on all of these slides. Here's cap stage again, no dentin formation going on, but we're setting the stage for that. As we go on to the next slide, there's the inner enamel epithelium, there is the stratum intermedium, there's the stellate reticulum. There is that cell-free zone that is going to disappear. So these are the cells in that dental papilla, but they have not yet started to differentiate into odontoblasts. If you go on to the next slide, we've taken quite a jump. We can see that those odontoblasts there are already beginning to lay down some of the organic matrix. Again, there's the inner enamel epithelium, stratum intermedium, stellate reticulum, and you can see those odontoblastic processes. Looks as though we have just a little bit of mineralization occurring right there. So there are the odontoblasts that have been recruited from the dental papilla. And as you look at the slides that show a late bell stage, if you go down towards the cervical loop, you'll find an area where you see the cells within that dental papilla beginning to differentiate into odontoblasts. Well, cervical loops, the orange is dentin, a little bit of predentin there. We can see the odontoblasts being recruited. Down here we don't really see much. There are the odontoblasts. Here's predentin, and there we've got some dentin and just a hint of enamel being formed on top of that. So there are the ameloblasts. There are the odontoblasts. Why are these basophilic? Why is that nucleus shoved over to that side? Yeah, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, all of the secretory machinery is going to be on that side, pushing that nucleus away from it. Okay, a little bit different staining. There's the stratum intermedium, there are the ameloblasts, there is dentin, there is predentin, and there is an odontoblastic process sitting in a dentinal tubule, and there are the odontoblasts. Odontoblasts, predentin, you have odontoblastic processes, dentinal tubules, and there is the dentin. And right here we can see we've got kind of an undulating front of mineralization because we have this kind of globular mineralization going on. There's the enamel right there. That red line would be the DEJ. And again, there are the ameloblasts. And same thing here, we have odontoblasts, predentin, dentin. There are the ameloblasts. There is the enamel. Okay, so that's in that chapter, and you can go ahead and look around all of these chapters. Next time in lab, we'll be going over the structure of dentin itself, and probably start on amelogenesis, where we'll be looking at the ameloblasts just on the other side of those odontoblasts, and what their life cycle is like, and what sort of things they do in the development of the enamel. Okay, so the CD-ROMs are up here. Some of them look